If there's one thing we need to talk about, was there's a bunch of things we need to talk about from this drone. There's a bunch of things. Yeah, it's not just one thing. It's a lot of things. But let's kind of break it down, because I wanted to talk about the controller. As we see here on the screen, it's the future of the drone controllers, the grip controller. It's one-handed, right? So I've got nothing here to. DJI had introduced this controller maybe like 3 years ago, something like this, with the Avata 1, I think it was. Very similar, with the trigger and the buttons on the top, and it's like a motion controller is what they call it, right? Because you're going from a 2-thumb. So let me see if I can get a 2-thumb controller here, if I can find it. Let me see if I got any left. Here's one I got a long time ago. Still a good controller, but man, these things are hard to get out. So this was a DJI control. 2 joysticks for your thumbs. Nice weight on it. And then it has this little lever to put your phone on it. And then you would connect it, and then you would see the screen would be your view of what drone sees. But I feel like this is starting to become old now, because it's slowly we're going into that remote, this style of remote, one-handed remote, like the joystick, fighter jet kind of style, airplane. The only thing with this remote, and again, I haven't tried it, so I don't know. Okay, but I'm just speculating here, based on what DJI had done before with this same style remote, motion, right? So you grab it, and it uses some kind of motor to detect motion, and it's able to trigger movements for the drone to fly wherever you want it to go. So as you can see, the girl here, she's using the remote and she's moving around her hand, and everywhere the remote goes, the drone follows the command. It's a good style of innovation, because it does make sense. You want to have, I mean, this is like a video game, right? The 2-thumb, but it's very accurate. This is very precise and accurate. You have more control from this remote than with that remote. Why? Because I think, although that controller is very, very cool, and I think it's the future of controlling a drone, they haven't designed it how it should be designed. Because what does a drone pilot do? A drone pilot usually is standing up. Although an FPV pilot, which this would be some kind of hybrid, because you're wearing goggles, but it's because you have to wear these goggles, otherwise you can't really see and understand the 3-dimensional or the 360 style camera. You can't see the 360 camera on on a screen. So you need to use the goggles in order to view the drone flight. All right. So the controller is needs to be easy on the hands and what you want it to do as far as the commands. The thing is, you're usually standing up for this type of drone operation. Usually standing up. Now, if you're sitting down, it might be a little bit easier because what I see happening here is, and this is why it didn't work, I think, for the DJI controller. You're standing up and you're losing your orientation in space. You're losing the true north of kind of like where you are, like stationed in a base, right? And you're losing the true north. So everywhere you're turning, it's kind of like north, I think. So it's losing that internal GPS of the body and the remote control. Also, it's almost like the hand loses connection with the mind in virtual space and in reality. Also, these types of operations, flying drones, specifically when you're wearing goggles, you tend to get dizzy, especially if you're standing up. So there's a lot of, I think, sensory confusion of the actual person flying it and the mind, as well as the eye and hand coordination and the hand commands with this grip controller or one-handed controller, giving it motion. Now, because this is a 360 camera, it gets even more crazier in the virtual space. So I think this still needs a lot of work. This controller, also the way you want it to move in space, it's still not really like, you have to click the trigger to make it go forward, and then you have to push forward. That makes sense, right? But there was one thing that was never introduced in the DJI Avata, which is an FPV drone, where I used that drone with this remote control. It was another controller similar to this one, made for FPV. Because with FPV, you have a mode called acro. Acro mode is where you basically fly the drone, the FPV drone. It's a fast drone, into a manual mode, and it loses all GPS, and you have full, complete control of the entire drone's access, and you can move it anywhere you want, and you can do anything you want, flips, rolls, dives, and anything. But it was best done always on these controllers, on this two thumb joystick controllers, traditional controllers. It was always more safe and more accurate doing it like that. With this style controller, I thought it would have been easier to do that, actually, because you can use your hand kind of like you're on an airplane, and you can fly up, right? Like you can push it up and the drone goes up, and then if you wanted to do like a dive and have the drone do this and then swirl down or barrel down, you can have the controller lift up, then all the way down, and have that access of it nose diving and then rotating, right? All these motions could have been incredible for that style of flying, but it was just not there. It was just not there with this controller. So I don't see it for the anti-gravity. I don't see it yet, because also the how do I say it? Not only are you lost in virtual space and reality space with the controller, but you are now having to view with the goggles all around you. Whereas before you would just focus on, it was more of a fixed visualization, because the drones had a gimbal that can only be limited to certain movements, and you didn't have the capability of going all around and seeing everywhere you're going. You were just seeing kind of more of the front view, and then you get like some sort of perspective right here, and that's it. Every time you would go into the goggles, it would look like you're going into a movie theater and you're just seeing a frontal view. But now you're able to look down, and the drone can still fly forward, and you can look down, and then your controller, this hand controller, as you're looking down, you might kind of like forget where you are and then want to kind of, I don't know, push down to go down because you're looking down, but you're going forward. I feel like there's a lot of confusion in the flight, the immersive flight with this controller. Now, what could be a solution to keeping some sort of true north or fixed position for the remote control and the pilot not to go crazy trying to figure out where they are in virtual space or in real space? Well, one of the things I thought about back when DJI had introduced this controller was some sort of base, right? So some sort of attachment that could go on a table or on the floor, and then you would have to sit down for this. Like, it's because it's like being inside a fighter jet plane or a plane. You would need to sit down, and you would need to have this kind of like fixed in some sort of base, so then you can register this as being in some sort of true north, right? And then it has the compass all set and ready as the drone flies wherever you want it to fly, but it's keeping the base of the controller, this controller, in a base where it can record or set kind of like the home point of where it is in real world and virtual world, right? So it's kind of confusing, but you only understand it, I think, when you actually fly it. You figure that out. You figure out that you're losing some sort of compass, this virtual compass. And one of the solutions, I think, might be that of putting a base down and having this remote in a fixed position, so then you can do all that crazy stuff and not lose your position in space, in real space and virtual space. So that's one of the things. I still want to try it out because I want to see if there's any improvement. I don't think so, because this would be even crazier compared to the one DJI had, because the one DJI had, at least it was you weren't looking up, down. It was just one focus point. And overall, I just didn't. The flight experience was not the best. So, flight experience, the user experience, how it feels on the hand. What are you see the trigger, the buttons, are they positioned in the place where it should be? Because you can't even see this thing. Now I heard the goggles have like a pass-through camera, so then you could see the real world as you're inside the immersive world. But most of the time you won't be looking at this remote, so you have to kind of like memorize and get used to where all the buttons are and know what the buttons do without looking at them. So this is a very interesting take on the anti-gravity remote system. I would like to try it out to understand it better, and see if it actually improved based on the DJI one, and perhaps see if I can figure out a way, from what I'm thinking, from my experience from the other one, and what my understanding of how these controllers work with drones, perhaps I can get a better idea of what a solution could be. Because I don't see it. I don't see it being like everyone's like happy with this. And I heard in a few videos that I was watching, some of the reviews of the people that do have it. They're saying that this is a completely new flight experience. It's not like the current one right now. This is something very, very new and strange. And I'm not too sure if it's a good flight experience, meaning new good, or new not so good. So my little take on the grip controller. Very beautiful though. I like the colors and the design of it. Very futuristic. It's beautiful. It just has to connect with the pilot experience.